kind of a single-dimensional focus. The third thing is, the label is the goal, especially for a corporate entity, large agribusiness. And most large agribusiness is corporate. This big farm that I went to work for doesn't exist anymore. It's been split up, but it was owned by an oil company. And that's kind of typical. The insurance companies, oil companies, they own these large farming operations, and it's absolutely a corporation. And so what is the most important thing to the corporation? That bottom line. That's really the only focus. Now, many corporations have a desire and a PR that, we're worried about the environment and we want to be sustainable and all of this, but it really is somewhat shallow compared to what the bottom line is, and so the bottom line is it. And so the goal then is, what's the least we have to do to get the label? We want the label, we want to be organic, we want the label, but we want to do the absolute least possible in order to get it. Because all we want is to get it. And so it's not about what's the maximum we can do to produce good food. It's what's the least we can do to get the label. And at Jacob's Cove, our philosophy is, what is the absolute most we can do to produce vital, living, nutritious food? And so we're all about what's the most we can do. The label is all about what's the least we can do. It's oil and water. It's just, and so we just don't want to be associated with something that's the least you can do, because we're working on what's the most we can do. And so the other one is this one, which is becoming more and more important, and people don't realize it. The chemical companies aren't dumb. They know that there's big money to be made in organic, but they're a chemical company. So what do you suppose they're doing? They're trying to get organic chemicals, of course. And so the holistic agriculture really is about how can we balance life, because that's really what it is. It's life. And chemicals are really about what? Killing, death. They're about death. Absolutely. They're about death. We want to kill everything. We want to sterilize everything. Doesn't really fit with holistic, life-giving situation. And so, but they want to play ball. They want to be in the game. And so we're seeing more and more and more organic, certified organic stuff that you can put on your crop and maintain your certification. Good thing? Well, good for them, but not good for us. And as a result of that, many farmers fall into a problem. And that problem is that they just move from the same practices that they had with chemicals, but instead of using hard chemicals, we just use organic chemicals, and nothing in the practice really changed. But now they're certified organic. And so what does that do to the holistic part? Well, there's really not much difference whether it was hard chemical or whether it was organic chemicals, if that is the thing that you're going to do. Because the fact is, you put on an organic treatment for some bug, for example. What is the objective? Well, it's to kill the bug. It doesn't matter whether it's hard chemical, whether it's organic chemical, it doesn't matter what it is. anytime you apply something with the idea of killing something, is there a consequence or is there not a consequence? Or multiple consequences? There absolutely are. And most of those we're not even aware of. We don't even know what they are. And so as soon as you start down that path, it is a slippery slope. Because as soon as you apply the first chemical, I don't care whether it's hard chemical or whether it's organic, as soon as you apply that, there's a consequence. There always is a consequence. And so you may apply something in order to accomplish something in the short term, which is we've got this bug that's eating us alive. We've got to get rid of it. And so, wham. Everything's great, right? To that action, there is a reaction. And so something else is going to happen. And so then you've got this other problem. And so if you do things this way, then you'll find some other thing to hit it with. And if you want to be certified organic, well, I'll make sure that it's an organic substance. So you can get all kinds of labels to do all kinds of things from Monsanto and from Dow and from Union Carbide that are all certified organic, OMRI. And it's better than hard chemical, definitely, because it being on the food, at least it's not going to make you as sick as what the hard chemical was. But is that what you want? Really not. The end of the chemical application, that slippery slope, the end of that is sterility. Sterile.
That's my problem.
Yeah. But that's where it all goes, because you apply, there's a consequence, you apply, there's a consequence, there's apply, and finally you just take it down to the end. Now I'd like to talk just a little bit about philosophy. Let me see where my slide is here. I'm going to just go here. Let's talk just a little bit about the holistic farming and what that looks like compared to what we term as modern agriculture. Somehow we got into our minds that we could not feed ourselves unless we did it in this really quite unnatural way. And those that participate in that, which is really big agribusiness, would have us believe that is the case even today. We just passed in Congress, you're probably aware, at the end of the year, lame duck session, they pushed through the latest food safety bill. Is anyone aware of that? Yeah, they did. Guess who wrote the bill? Yeah, big agribusiness and the chemical companies, because they're real interested in this. It turns out that the ones that have had to settle lawsuits with parents of children that died from E. coli and salmonella poisoning weren't the local farmer. It was the big corporate agriculture companies, Cargill, ConAgra. They're the ones that wrote it. Also, you might be aware, or you may not be aware, that big agribusiness and FDA is kind of revolving door. You could almost say that FDA is Monsanto and Monsanto is the FDA. I mean, it's sad, but that's the reality. Because the executives of each one are, this year they're the food czar, and next year they're the CEO or the lawyer for Monsanto. We have GMO due to Justice Clarence Thomas' vote. He was kind of the tiebreaker there. Turns out that he was lawyer for Monsanto. And that was the vote that allowed life to be patented, which is absurd. And the consequences of that, we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg yet. But it is what it is. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. To kind of delineate food safety from big agribusiness versus a local food producer. It's apples and oranges. I did some consulting in southern San Joaquin Valley for a very large carrot producer. And I can pretty much guarantee that everybody here has eaten some of their carrots. They're that big. They're in every grocery store. Went there to help them with their carrot wash water recycling system. It's the first time I've been in a big carrot production facility. And it doesn't smell very good, just so you know. In fact, you could say that it is putrid. But nonetheless, that water is used to wash the carrots. Okay? And so they come in from the field and then they are washed with this water, which is recycled. And it's a cesspool. I mean, that's probably the best way to describe it. So after this initial wash with this water, then you bring the carrots and then you rewash and process and add some chemicals and then package. So in other words, really bad behavior. But it gets bailed out by what? Chemicals. You bail it out. If there's any pathogens that come out of that, well, we'll just kill them. Then we'll put it in the pack and send it off. And that's pretty typical. And so in all the big processing plants, the challenge is you bring so much stuff in that it is guaranteed that you've got contamination. And so the new food safety regulations sadly regulate this type of behavior and worse. Regulate animals from birth to slaughter living in their own feces. Regulate what I described at the carrot plant. Regulate things you can't even imagine. But by regulating it, what does that do? It legitimizes it. It legitimizes it.